there, fictional friends, and welcome to another episode of Fully Booked. I'm Meaghan.
And I'm Shirin.
And we're right into Adaptations month.
Oh, we love it.
Yeah. And so what better time than to talk about, a newer series adaptation
Which I'm so psyched about.
That came out, in June? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it, end of June, basically.
Yeah.
So we decided that for this week we would take a stab at an adaptation of an extremely popular YA novel. Like this one pops up on lists for
I love
ages.
this book.
I'm going to preface it. I don't like this book at all.
I recommend this book to everybody.
Yeah, she does, and I don't. It was fine.
I loved it. I love the writing style. I love the story. I did not see the twist coming at the end at all.
Yeah. So anyway, as you can probably tell from the title of the episode, this week we are hopping into the adaptation of E. Lockhart's We Were Liars, which was published in 2014. And that's it. Just had its series, an 8-episode series on Amazon. Dropped, that's at end of June of 2025 of this year. At the time of recording, like when we're looking at it now, right now, the show currently has a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb and 63% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's not fair.
One of the few times that the audience score and the critic score is the exact same percent, which is interesting. I feel like that never happens.
No. Normally, there's quite a big difference between the two.
Yeah, there's usually a disparity of some kind, but no, they're the exact same, so that's interesting.
That is interesting.
So this is definitely one I think that was probably, I'm sure people were excited about when it was announced. And I will say it's got a pretty stacked cast as well overall. Yeah. So that probably lent itself pretty well to people getting excited about it and everything. Just as okay, we're going to have to talk about the differences and things because that's it. As I will say, I did not enjoy this book. The prose is pretentious in my opinion.
No, it's so good.
And I'm sorry that people are going to be mad at me. And I don't mean that as any offense against E. Lockhart. It's not about that. She's obviously a talented writer and who the fuck am I to comment on anything? I've never had anything published in my life and she's extremely popular. So I don't think she cares what I think. But to me, the prose was pretentious, and the prose that made its way into the show was as well. Wasn't a fan of that. I hated it.
We're gonna have fisticuffs by the end of this episode.
Yeah. So for people, I guess maybe not in the know. First of all, there will be massive spoilers because we're gonna not talk through every single plot point. And it's an 8-episode show. We don't have time. But we'll talk through some of sort of the major kind of story arcs and the characters and things like that, and probably some of the themes. So just be aware of that if you've not watched it yet and you don't want spoilers. Maybe come back later.
Yeah, and read the book first. I recommend. This is one of those times where I'm really read the book first.
Actually read the book first, yeah.
I found that they did a good job adapting the book and covering the major plot points, covering the character interactions.
Yes.
Because that is very, very key in this story, is the interactions between characters. I believe they added, not quite a lot, but they did add some stuff to the storyline.
Yeah.
To obviously make it an 8-episode series.
Of course. If not, it would have had to have been about half that amount probably.
Yeah, and to kind of zhuzh it up. And they also alluded to the second novel called Family of Liars, which is a prequel.
It's a prequel, yeah.
I guess to open the door to allow themselves to
definitely
have a second season.
Leave the door open for the potential of a second season. You got that. In that last episode, there are conversations between the adult characters that make you be like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, the story follows the Sinclair family. The lead character, her name is Cadence Sinclair. She is Katie. Yeah, they call her Katie. She is part of one of these old money, extremely wealthy American families.
Vanderbilt, Kennedys.
Who basically own a private estate on an island off of Martha's Vineyard, if I'm not mistaken, because they're in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And every summer, the entire Sinclair family, because some of them are in Boston, but some of them are in New York and stuff, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So every summer, all the members of the family gather on this estate that they call Beechwood, which has been in the family, I believe, for a number of generations, if I'm not mistaken. And this is all basically everything is run from the ground up by Harris Sinclair, the grandfather and patriarch of the family, and his wife Tipper. who, these are like the most American names that you could have come up with for these characters.
Tipper's probably a nickname, but they never give her real name in the show. I think they say it once at her funeral or in her eulogy or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't really address it. They always call her Tipper.
Yeah.
Tipper. Anyway, so Tipper and Harris have 3 daughters. Penny, who is Cadence's mother, Carrie, who's the oldest. Penny is the second oldest, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. She's the middle child, and then Bess, or Elizabeth, who is the youngest.
Who's played by Carolyn from the Vampire Diaries.
Played by Candace King from the Vampire Diaries. Carrie, the oldest, played by Mamie Gummer, who is one of Meryl Streep's daughters.
Okay, that's why she looks so familiar. Mm-hmm. I was like sitting there watching it, and I'm like, gosh, who does she look like?
Yeah.
She's a great actress in this.
She's wonderful. Yeah, I've seen her in a couple of different things. She's very good. So they all gather with their various children. So Penny has 1 daughter, Cadence, who is the main character. Carrie has 2 sons. She has Johnny, who's her oldest, and what's the little one's name? Will, thank you, his younger brother. She also has her long-term partner, Ed Patil, who's played by Raoul Coley, who I love. So wonderful. I was really happy to see him in this. He's a Mike Flanagan regular. He's in like a lot of his stuff. He was in Fall of the House of Usher, Midnight Mass, Hunting of Bly Manor. He's in the new Carrie TV series that's being worked on right now.
Nice.
Yeah, which Mike Flanagan's also doing.
We love a bit of Mike Flanagan.
Well, I think Mike Flanagan and Stephen King are best friends now, so which is fine.
Yeah,
that's great.
Great. Yeah.
So that's it. So those would be Carrie's kids, and then Bess has 3 girls. Mm-hmm. She's got Meaghan, who's her oldest, who's the most focused on of the 2, and then are they twins?
They are twins.
Thank you.
Yeah, she keeps calling them the twins.
The twins, yeah, that's it, exactly. I literally don't remember their names, I'm sorry.
I don't think they mention their names.
I think they do, but
like in passing.
It doesn't matter to me.
But they just keep calling them the twins.
The twins.
I find it an interesting dynamic that like all 3 sisters have children of kind of the same age.
Yes.
They are the same age, but then they've got younger children too.
Yes.
And I can't recall from the books, they don't address it necessarily in the show, but it's like it makes you wonder, like, was there like, I don't think there was a second marriage involved there, but
I understand what you're saying. It is interesting because the daughters are different ages, and yet Bess has Meaghan, who's the same age as Cadence, so she had her at least a few years later, or younger, I should say, than her sister did. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, so that's it. They summer on Beechwood on the island. There are there's the big main house, which is stunning, and Claremont, and
all the houses have names.
All the houses have names, and there are multiple houses, and each, I guess, family unit has their own house.
Yeah, apparently Harris had each house built for each
daughter, right? Yeah. And so this is one of those. The major themes that are explored. Like, yes, this is a mystery because essentially. The 16th summer, summer 16, they call it, at the estate. Well, all we know is that Cadence experienced some sort of accident. Like, she was obviously injured. She had a hand injury, and she washed up on the beach and was in hospital for several weeks and, has taken a long time to recover, but also lost her memory of the night of whatever this incident was and what occurred, and has been told now by doctors, as well as her mother, Penny, has been told this as well, that instead of, this frustrates me to no end, I would go crazy if I were Katie, that as opposed to explaining to her what happened, which apparently has been done multiple times, they need her to remember on her own.
By herself.
So
no one can remember it.
Yeah, so no one is allowed to speak to her about it because apparently every time she has actually just been told out loud what occurred, she has some sort of episode and then forgets again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and important to note that in the book, because I was recalling this all occurs in summer 15.
Yeah.
But in the show, they're 16 and 17.
Yeah.
So they're 15 and 16 in the book. It's not a big difference.
But also, because I remember in the book that it happens in like summer 16 or whatever it is, or summer 15, and then Penny won't let Katie go back to the island the summer following. She sends her to Europe with her dad.
That's right.
And then they actually skip a year, whereas in the show they did not do that. They just went back the following summer.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now you're saying that I'm remembering.
Yeah.
and the whole purpose was to kind of help her massage those memories and
Yes.
try and get her to remember what was going on
And
during her summer in Europe, and that didn't happen. So they kind of concede and realize that she has to go back to the island.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So they decide that that's the way that they're going to jog her memory. But in that time, so I mentioned that Carrie, the oldest sister, her longtime partner, who she's been with for about a decade, is Ed Patil.
Yeah.
He, back in the day, 8 or so years prior, started bringing his nephew with him to the island named Gat. And Gat quickly became part of the friend unit. He's the same age as Katie, Meaghan, and Johnny. So they became like very fast friends and very close to one another. And he goes back every summer as well. But the confusion to an extent is that I believe that even though they live in different cities, all of them do communicate with each other throughout the year. And they probably see each other at holidays and stuff, right? Like you'd think at Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
And
they certainly do. They are in touch all year.
100%. That's it. And so now what's happened is that in the entirety of this year between the incident and so summer 16 and 17, no one has spoken to Katie.
No.
Like her family members haven't spoken to her, none of their unit. So they call themselves the liars because growing up they would, lie and make up little stories and stuff like that to get away with trouble.
Right.
And
so
things.
they got called the liars basically by the family.
So now like the older quotient of the kids are the liars and then the littles are the younger ones.
The liars and the littles. It's cute.
Yeah. So so she has obviously frustration quite a bit to do with, of course, the fact that she doesn't remember what happened to her the year before. And she's dealt with depression. She's dealt with all kinds of things. And at the same time, she has a level of resentment and anger towards everyone, her mother, as well as the other liars, because no one will tell her. They haven't reached out to her. They won't tell her what's going on. Like, no one's explained anything. And so, it's awkward at first when they get back to the island, but it's like both in trying to settle back down and starting to talk to people, whether or not they want to, hide everything from her. She starts to, like, her memory does start to be jogged a little bit slowly but surely. And, people do start to reveal certain things to her detail wise without even meaning to. So she does start to piece all of this together.
Yeah. And I find that they do a really good job of this in the show. Obviously with like the visuals and whatnot, like how her memory keeps getting triggered by things that she's doing. And it's kind of bringing back what happened. At first, when you're watching the show, you're a little bit like, I don't know what the hell's going on. But it was clever of them to dye her hair brown for summer 17, so you can kind of make that difference.
I think they definitely did that on purpose, and it made it easier visually, I think, for you. Because since you're mostly following Katie, like you do follow the other characters, but you're mostly following Katie. Right. She is your lead. It was easier to have that be the case. So she... Anyway, just to kind of give an overview of things, and I guess we can talk about the themes, we can talk about the characters and stuff. Basically, all of this happens, and throughout the course of Summer 17, she pieces together slowly but surely through things that are revealed to her and her own memory what actually happened and what is revealed. And again, spoilers. I'm just letting you know. Basically what she does discover is that in Summer 16, her and the liars decided that they were tired of their grandfather's sort of reign of tyranny over the family.
And everybody fighting over an inheritance.
Everybody fighting all the time. And so they decided that they would just get rid of like basically Beechwood and like Claremont entirely, and they would just burn it to the ground.
And also she does this because in the show, she gets a copy of her grandfather's will, and she sees that his intention is to leave everything to her.
And she does not want it.
Because
she doesn't want to be a Sinclair. She doesn't really want to be part of that family.
And like she doesn't tell the liars about
not that part, no.
And, I think when I was watching that scene, I was like, gosh, that's such a level of, like, naivete that she has, that, like, she is so rich.
Simply by burning down this house.
But she's so rich. Yeah. And she has grown up so wealthy that to her, she thinks that, I don't want it. I don't need it. Like, I'll just burn down this house. I'll be fine on my own. And I'll solve all the problems.
Yeah, and I think the aspect that will fix the problems is a really strange, like really bizarre kind of mentality to have. So anyway, they did go to, that's it, essentially set a fire and do all of this. But unfortunately, due to multiple factors of the way that the fire spread.
Well, they also very poorly planned
it, which again is not surprising.
Well, they were drunk, too.
They were drunk, and they're also rich teenagers. And, you don't know anything about anything when you're like 16 years old. So they because of multiple factors of poor planning, essentially what actually did happen is that of the 4 liars, Katie is the only one who was able to get out.
Because she set the fire at the ground level near the door.
Yeah. And unfortunately, all 3 of the others, Johnny, Meaghan, and Gat, all died in the fire. And the dogs. Oh, I forgot about that.
Dog.
Oh, I forgot about that. That broke my fucking heart. I forgot about that
from in the book.
I think it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
because I remember that upsetting me when I read it.
It might have been. I don't recall that part, but like they did such a good job
because
in the show.
because in the book she remembers and she's upset.
Yeah.
And when she says it to Gat, he sadly is kind of like, "Is that all you remember?"
That's right, because and they do a really good job of this in the show as well, because I watched this with my husband who hadn't read the book.
Yeah.
And so you know that we're leading up to something, because he kept saying like, I'm sure she can't remember because she did something bad.
Yes.
He's like, I'm sure it's because she did something bad. And then that moment where she remembers the dogs.
He was like, oh,
he's
shit.
like, oh, shit,
She killed
that's
the
what
dogs.
she did,
Yeah.
you know? I'm like, yeah.
Which is true, to be fair. And that's what starts to fully trigger her memory about it as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's by and large, that is like the plot, like that's the mystery, and that's the mystery that winds up being solved. And so all the conversations and communication that she's had with the liars during Summer 17 have been a figment of her imagination.
And they did a really good job in the show.
They were very smart in the TV show, very clever in order to just circumvent for somebody who went in blind, who who did not know anything about this, even like, knowing it. Yeah. While I was watching, because I read it, I was like, oh no, they've done a really good job. It's very seamless. Like they've really made it seem as though like she's just having organic conversations with people, and they haven't made it super obvious that anyone is like, who are you talking to? Like they didn't do anything like that. They were very clever about it.
No, there was like this one scene, my husband wasn't paying attention when it happened. And I said to him, I'm like, oh, you just missed
something.
Big clue there, where one of the littles goes to Katie and she says, Cadence,
tell me a ghost
story.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm fresh out, ask Meaghan. And she goes, hilarious.
Ha ha, so funny, basically, yeah.
Marin's there,
quote,
in
unquote,
quotes, but she's not, you know? Because she's a ghost.
Yeah.
Anyway, but one question for you, because I can't recall this from the book.
Yeah.
Oh, but one thing I will kind of shout out, difference between book and show before I get there, is in the book, the characters, the other liars, are increasingly distressed.
Yeah, that's
throughout
true.
The story. So like Johnny's like getting more aggravated and erratic.
Yeah.
And Gat is like falling apart slowly.
And they mostly do it in the show with Johnny's character. They don't really do it with the others
They don't do it with the others because they're like mostly okay.
Correct, yeah.
But in the book, they are not okay.
No, they're a mess and a half.
And they're actually leaving like messes, like Katie's seeing like messes behind like dirty things.
Yeah, they only allude to it a little bit. There's a couple of times where she's cleaning up and stuff, and you're like, oh, okay. But it's her leaving messes behind as these like different things are happening in her head. Yeah.
So in the show, the last half of the last episode, it's all about like her kind of making amends with the liars one by one, and they're a hallucination. They're not actually ghosts. Like there's no supernatural element.
No. This is
they
all.
They kind of made it seem like there was a supernatural element in the show.
Well, they do it. They do it right at the end. The literal last frame of the show, the last scene of the show, because it takes place between different characters, between Carrie, Johnny's mother, and Johnny, quote unquote, which again, we could play that off as figment of her imagination because unfortunately Carrie has relapsed. She's a drug addict and was for a number of years, and she unfortunately has relapsed. She had prior to the accident happening, but even so she had before that, but obviously this has continued throughout the year because obviously she, lost her son as well, which is really sad. So, so you do see that. So they do kind of give that. And I was like, I don't think that was necessary, but whatever, sure.
Yeah, like I really felt like there was like this aspect of like heaven in there.
A little bit.
And I'm like, I don't love that we went down this road.
No.
Like, she's supposed to remember what happened and then they kind of disappear.
Well, and that's the whole thing, is that they were, quote unquote, they like her mind kind of created them to help her work through this trauma and hopefully be able to start to move on. So that's kind of, so I get it. And like they wrapped it up. I will say though, that's it. I don't know. I guess maybe to an extent, because of the additional development and because we're able to follow multiple characters as you do, as opposed to having one singular narrator in a book, I do feel like I overall enjoyed the show more because of that, because I was able to do things like focus on the parents, like the sisters and what's going on with them and stuff. All of those actresses gave wonderful performances. They are atrocious most of the time, especially Penny and Bess.
Oh God, to each other, you mean?
Yeah, and to their children as well. They're deplorable human beings, and they're terrible
Bess
to their kids.
Is terrible, especially to poor Meaghan.
Poor Meaghan, God.
But I loved Meaghan with her little love story on the side there, which did not happen
I wanted to ask you who some of your favorite characters were, and for me, Eben was one of my favorite characters.
I loved him.
Oh, he was a cutie
such
patootie.
A great like commentary on like everything going on. Like
he was,
you know how he was like, yeah, you rich people don't seem to think that I'm like real or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God. Yeah, he was great. I thought he was lovely.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Meaghan is played by an English actress named Esther McGregor, who's Ewan McGregor's daughter.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see it now that you've said it.
Yeah.
She was really good in this.
She was. She did a really good job because she's the black sheep, quote unquote, outcast, because nobody, especially her mom, but nobody ever thinks that she's good enough. She's the weird one. Yeah. So, yeah.
In terms of favorite characters, definitely Eben.
Eben was great. Ed.
Ed.
I love Ed.
Of course,
I love Ed.
I really liked Meaghan.
I thought Meaghan was great. She was really good.
I liked Harris. I thought he did a fantastic job.
David Morse. Yeah, David Morse plays. He's been around for a really long time. That actor. He plays Harris Sinclair, and he's another one too. That like the character is a despicable human being, but he did an incredible job with the character. Like, he was very good.
He did it in a way that like it took you a minute to realize he was despicable.
Yeah, because he almost didn't seem
charm.
He almost didn't seem too terrible at first, but the more conversations are had, the more you're like, oh.
Yeah, like this guy sucks.
Oh, he's horrible. He's, basically the epitome of old money, racist white man in America. Like it's just.
And like, I can't be a racist. I'm a Democrat.
Yeah, like he literally says it at one point, and you're like, oh my God, wow. It's so like it's uncomfortable, but he does a wonderful job of the character. He's very, very good at it because you despise him.
I did not like Katie and Gat.
Me neither.
I felt that they had zero chemistry.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I didn't love Gat. The way he was played in this, like he was like, I loved him in the book.
In the book,
like he was lovely, but in the show, I was just like, meh. I don't care about him.
Yeah, no, I know. It was a little bit like meh. Like they didn't let him do very much. I don't find. So it just kind of fell flat because of that. Because I don't feel like they gave the actor much to do.
And I guess what the intent was, and the way they were portraying Gat was that. Sorry,
is there a cat on you?
There's a cat coming over here. I just feel a little paw.
He's just reminding us that he's here.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. I think the way that they did it in the TV show was that Gat was supposed to be there to like absorb like some of the crap that was going on between like the characters. So he was supposed to be like a bit of a buffer, a bit of a like, hey, you privileged kids, like your problems are not really problems. Kind of thing. So he was kind of there to like be more of a buffer, I felt, than like an actual contributing character.
Kind of, yeah, no, it's true. And it does eventually you kind of start to be like, what is the purpose of this character now?
And then they had this like the will they won't they that went on for fucking 8 episodes.
I didn't need
it.
Like
I'm like, oh come on, stop. And then his make believe girlfriend that wasn't real.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, she
was, but I know what you mean.
She was never there in the show, and like, I was tired with it. Like I'm like, hey, get them off the screen because I'd much rather see Bess and Penny like go at it.
Yeah, Bess and Penny and Carrie, like that dynamic. Those actresses really like they were like heavy hitters in this. They were very good, and like. You know what? For people who just like, if you grew up with the Vampire Diaries and you want to see Candace King be able to really do a lot with her, with a character, watch the show.
Oh, she was great.
She was really good.
She was really good as Bess. I really felt for Bess in this show. She really tried to be the perfect daughter.
Yeah, she definitely. She's one that has a good character arc because she starts out and you're like, God, she's horrible. Yeah. But then I guess you find the reasons for the horrible by the end. I will say, even in spite of all that, I can't say that I felt that bad for her. I was like, listen, you were awful to your kid. And so you deserve to feel like a piece of shit now. I'm sorry. Like, eventually I hit a point where I'm like, no, I'm not forgiving any of this now. But at the same time, I do, there were good takeaways for it. Like, Meaghan's an artist. And after everything happens, Bess gets her artwork displayed in a local gallery on the island, like I think it's on Martha's Vineyard. It must be, because that's like the closest by ferry, basically, that you can get to. And stuff. And so, she does do things to make amends, but like, I don't know. I go back and forth on the too little too late shit. I'm like, well, she's dead. So.
Yeah, but it's not just that. Like, Bess is a very complicated character.
She is.
Because like she was not the baby of the family, but we find out
you don't know at first.
Sister, Rosie died. And so Bess then became the baby again. So that's a weird psychological.
It's probably a weird dynamic. Yeah. And there's a lot of overcompensation for her in her life in order to make up for certain things, which again is also all to potentially allude to the prequel story as
they do
well.
Mention it that they had a hand in Rosemary dying,
and somehow Rosie passed away in their summer 16. And we don't know. So I haven't read Family of Liars. I don't know anything about that story.
No, I haven't read it either, actually. I have it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the story at all, so I can't comment on it.
No.
But I'm assuming that's it, that the sisters had something to do with what happened to their youngest sister at that time. And so perhaps if they do decide to make another one, we'll get like a prequel series out of it too.
Yeah, I did love that in the show they added a lot of complexity to the characters, which you just didn't see in the book because to your point, you only had Cadence's point.
You only had Katie's point of view.
And it was a lot of the prose, like you said, a lot of the fairy tales, which I loved, and I loved the narration of it too, because it was such a good like display of what was going on in reality and turning it into like a metaphor for a fairy tale and stuff. Like, I thought that they did such a good job with that. But like Harris, the grandfather, was the one that I was surprised at how much I really liked the character.
Like to see that level of development for that character,
obviously he sucks.
Yeah, he's horrible.
But like in the final episode when he says to Cadence, like, you've remembered it now, but I know what actually happened. He's let them all believe that it was an accident, but he knows that they did it on purpose. They set
the fire on purpose.
And so he's basically saying to Cadence, like, you are a prisoner here and you must continue with this farce because otherwise...
She still refuses to do so, which...
Well, to an extent. Like, she puts on the dress, but she refuses to wear the pearls, and then that last scene with, like, the Titanic scene...
Well, yeah, but no, she also refuses to give the interview.
She does, but she does show up in the dress for the pictures.
I know.
So it's kind of like a half and half.
Well, I feel like that's probably true to life to a degree, right? There's only so much you're going to be able to get away with.
Well, that's it, right? Like, she can't fully rebel because she doesn't want the moms to know what actually happened.
No. God, I can only imagine what that would do. So, yeah. So, I will say, I think because of the level of character development that was able to happen... I did really appreciate the show because it gave so many of the other characters, and like, I don't know, maybe that's partially it too. The older I get, the more like all of the stuff with the three sisters was so much more interesting to me than the teenage problems because I was like, oh, this is so much more complex. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of generational trauma that's happening here, and these women who have felt like they've had to live up to an image, and they've all gone and done that in totally different ways. One of them's a recovering drug addict. One of them's so high strung it looks like she's about to snap at any moment, and one of them's just worked to be the perfect sweet little daughter who doesn't know anything, can't do anything for herself. Like, it's fascinating, and it was so much more fascinating to me, I think, than like the general like teenage issues that the other characters were experiencing. So I really appreciated that, and that I think for me has made it so that this is one of those rare instances where I'm like, no, I think I really kind of like the show better because of a lot of that stuff, because it gave it opened the door, and obviously they had good writers, and it opened the door to so many more layers of things to do with wealth and privilege and what that does to people.
Yeah, and there were some moments where I was kind of like, okay, we get it. Like, they're privileged. Like, you don't need to keep throwing it in there and being
we didn't quite need it as much as we got it, but I know what you mean.
Quite, like, in your face. Yeah. Like, there was a couple of times, like, I think, like, Johnny says when she's realizing it's a ghost or whatever. Oh, I had so much wealth and privilege and I did nothing with it. It's like, okay,
we know.
Like, we've said it in every episode.
You were also a
like,
child.
A few times,
yeah, that's it. Like, you were also a child. You were brought up that way. You weren't going to do anything with it at that age. You were like 16.
Well, this is it. You know, like you weren't going to start your own foundation and start going on, treks across the world to help orphans or
Not
whatever. Like you could have.
Yeah.
But like, anyway, all that to say, like there was a lot of that going on in the show, and then like of course with Gat being there, really pointing out the fact that he's not quite as privileged, and then Harris's like racist reaction to Ed and Gat.
Correct. Yeah.
And then they kind of shoved it in your face a bit during the show. I do understand why they had to keep pointing it out because like it was an important plot point.
Very much, yeah.
But I found it really interesting at the end when they're doing their photo shoot and now Ed is back because Carrie is allowed to be with Ed, and it's like this is all for optics. You know?
Definitely.
Because if it can say like, oh yeah, Gat was killed at the house.
Oh
but
yeah,
like,
but we embrace Ed is still
Ed.
here. He's still part of the family and stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, it's all optics. Yeah.
So I thought that was really well done. It wasn't that he's suddenly not a racist anymore.
Oh, God,
it's just
no.
that it's all about optics.
All of it is. And also, like, there's the additional layer that's interesting, which is that by summer 17, when Cadence returns, Harris has entered probably earlier stages of dementia.
Yeah, I think that is implied.
So he is dealing with memory loss in certain aspects of things, And so, if anything, it's just, like, fascinating to watch David Morse play that character. And while you're, like, fascinated by it, there's still that little bit in the back where you're like, well, I hope you die not remembering anything, you miserable old shit. And that's kind of like,
Or is it better for him to die remembering all the bad things he did?
Maybe all the bad things he did, but, hopefully in some sort of negative way for him, because he doesn't really deserve much better than that. So,
I mean, I think it's still implied that he intends to still leave everything to Cadence.
I believe so.
Until, of course, that last scene where she throws it all away, then he's probably like, never mind.
Never mind. So, I don't know, like, what that would look like to develop if they actually continued with anything. I guess we'd have to see. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. I didn't that's it. I don't think there were any characters that I was like, this was useless. It was more just, that's it. Like some of the chemistry, Emily Allen Lind as Cadence does do a very good job of the character. She had a lot to do in the back and forthing between summer 16 and 17 and how different that character is supposed to be.
It's true, yeah.
So she did have a lot to do in that regard. So that was like a lot. But it was just, that's it. It was more like certain things to do with a lot of these characters are terrible human beings. So it's really hard to root for anybody or relate to that many people.
Yeah.
I feel like the only person I related to was like Eben, probably.
And even then it's like,
And Gat's mom, Maya, also, who makes an appearance at one point. I was like, she seems okay.
It was hilarious that she was there for the lemon hunt.
Oh my God, that was so
how
funny.
Everything was made of lemon.
And it was all yellow and stuff.
And they were all wearing pastels. And she's like, what is going on?
Yeah, like she's just like, this is too uncanny valley for me when she like makes an appearance, which I thought was hilarious. Even a few of the other side characters kept things interesting. Like Cadence's father makes one appearance, but I thought he did quite a good job of just like being there as like a grounding to a degree, even though, he has his own faults in the sense that he's very much obviously not involved with his daughter particularly, which is unfortunate in spite of, I get that their parents are divorced, but come on.
Well, I think the implication there is that she's a Sinclair.
I know he wanted to escape that family. You can tell he was like, absolutely not. I don't want to do that shit.
And she's like, and her mom kept her with her, and it's like, no, she's a Sinclair through and through, and that was what was trying to be like kind of illustrated in that funeral scene there.
Definitely. Yeah, that's it. And Mirren's dad, who's like running their family fortune into the ground and stuff like that on that end.
Stealing money from him.
Or,
it's like the oldest storyline.
Yeah, it is the
investment banker who does a few bad trades, and now he's got to steal from his clients.
Now he's got to steal from people to try
family.
to try to make up for it. So he's squandering trust funds and all that jazz, like those things. It adds like a good layer of an interesting layer of complexity to some of those other things. So overall good, and I liked it. I liked it better than the book.
Haha, you did like it.
I liked what the show. Yeah, overall I liked it.
I thought it was really good.
Okay. Anyway, anyway, we're going to be coming back next week with another little chat about some adaptations, some little chit chats going on. Obviously, until then, you can feel free to check out everything we have going on over on the website at fullybooked.ca and follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. Search for Fully Booked CA, and that's where we'll be at. But until next week, guys, keep on reading.
Thanks, everyone.